Hello, it's Alabama Annie, and welcome to part 9 of the Starlight Tavern, one of my books available on Kindle. A Saucer of Scraps. By late summer, Hattie had taught me how to do most everything, how to set the table, where to put the silverware, how to fold the napkins, and so forth, and I liked all of the jobs she gave me. I'd stand on my little stool at the big sink and wash silverware or coffee cups for her, or bring her food from the pantry when she needed it. She taught me how to bake cakes and cornbread and biscuits, and she said my biscuits were really good. I knew how to fry bacon and could cook a good pot of grits as well, she said, and told me I was a great help to her. Now, ever since I'd been there, we'd been taking out the leftover scraps each evening to give them to the chickens or to the goats, or to leave them at the big oak tree where the little people lived. And most times, Miss Hattie and I would go together. But one evening, she said, "Why don't you take them on your own?" and sent me out the door with the saucer. I walked across the yard in the fading light to sit on the soft bed of moss beside the tree as she watched me from the door. I glanced around and thought I could never tell them the truth, because I'd figured out after a while that it might not be the little people who were eating those scraps after all, that it could be the squirrels and the chipmunks I'd seen around the tree when I was swinging. But I didn't have the heart to tell them the truth, that they'd been wrong all of this time. I sat the saucer on the moss and stood for a moment looking around, looking out over the brow at the fading colors of the sunset, when I heard something rustle to my left behind me in the bushes. I turned to see what was there, expecting I would see a squirrel or a chipmunk. But I thought my eyes were playing some hideous trick on me as I froze, afraid to move as he stepped out of the bushes, a short little man no taller than my knee, wearing only a loincloth. His wild green eyes glowed in the darkness beneath a shock of bushy hair. In one hand, he held what looked to be a small knife, and in the other, a dead squirrel. I wanted to scream, but no sound escaped my lips. I stumbled on a tree root and stubbed my toe and let out a cry, and then I kept my eyes on him as he came toward me, his eyes darting from me to the tree and to the saucer. And before that little thing moved again, I turned and ran like lightning, and I didn't look back. I flew up the porch steps and slid through the kitchen door wide-eyed and out of breath. Inside, I tried to tell them what I'd seen, but I couldn't speak, and when I did manage to mutter, I said something about a little man and a knife. Mr. John and Mr. Harvey got up from the table and their cups of coffee and dessert and told us to stay inside. They walked out off the porch into the yard and stood peering into the darkness toward the tree as we watched out the screen door. Then I heard Mr. Harvey say, "I haven't seen one of those little bastards in years. Man, do they give me the creeps," he muttered. I didn't go out to take the saucer to the tree any more after that, or chase fireflies at dusk as often, and I never have forgotten those glowing green eyes and that squirrel the little man was holding, and how I felt when he took those steps toward me. Over the years, I've heard many stories about them, some good and some bad. It would be years before I saw another one, but I have heard many stories. They live here on the mountain among us, whether we like it or not.